I dedicate this song to the only woman I ever loved. I'm too shy to turn around and say it to your face.
Regulators. We regulate any stealing of his property. We're damn good, too. But you can't be any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep.
Regulators! Mount up! It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets, trying to consume some skirts for the E, so I could get some phones. Rolling in my ride, chilling all alone. Just hit the east side of the LBC.
Hey everybody, welcome back to What the Hell Happened to Them? Jack attacks the cast this season. That's right, Jack Nicholson. I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill, and joining me on the line is the Mighty Joe.
And I ain't young.
And you ain't young.
That's right.
And on the audio boards is Levin Rensselaer, reminding me to remind you that you can email the cast at whathappenedtothemcast@gmail.com.
I have a question before you jump into what you're going to talk about. When I said young, after you said Mighty Joe, does anybody get that reference now?
Oh, the stupid monkey movie?
Yeah, but with Charlize Theron and Bill Paxton?
And I forgot Bill Paxton was in there, but I remember her from all the trailers. Yeah.
That movie's like,
you know what
so
else
old.
came out around that time was Meet Joe Black, and I confused those two movies all the time, despite them being drastically
one's
different.
about a monkey and one's about
Sexy Death.
Have you seen that?
I saw it on some weird TV channel in like 2003, so I don't remember. Or I don't remember what happens in it.
Well, there's just like a viral clip that goes around like every like 6 or 7 months where Brad Pitt is walking like away from Gwyneth Paltrow or something like that. Is it? No, it's not Gwyneth Paltrow. It's a woman who looks just like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Welcome to my world.
Like a young blonde woman.
So Hollywood's got so many of them.
He's like walking away from her, and then he like goes across the side, like the crosswalk, and then he gets hit by 3 cars, and he flies up in the air like very comically.
I think I remember that. I don't know if I've ever seen that clip travel around.
It's crazy. I'll send it to you at some point today.
All right. Well, what movie are we doing this week?
We watched The Missouri Breaks.
Yep.
From 1976. Jack's follow-up.
Technically, I do wonder if he knew he was going to win, or he knew he had won by the time he started making this film, or at least signed up to do it. So
yeah.
We'll talk about that as we go through. What happens in The Missouri Breaks?
Tom Logan is a horse thief. Rancher David Braxton has horses and a daughter worth stealing. But Braxton has just hired Lee Clayton, infamous Regulator, to hunt down the horse thieves one at a time.
Yes, we have the Marlon Brando version of Blood Red. Both movies feature an acting bad boy, a troubled actor who's feigning a questionable Irish accent.
God, the accent! He sounds like he's looking for his Lucky Charms.
Yeah. Yeah, Marlon Brando is channeling his inner Irish Liberace cowpoke.
Let's just get right into it. Are you ready for this? Because this probably will not surprise you. Mm-hmm. Marlon Brando's performance in this film was mostly improvised. Director Arthur Penn eventually gave up on him and decided to just let him act whatever way he wanted.
Yeah, that was exactly my theory. As the movie kept going, I thought, this is not written in the script, right? This is just a thing where the director just gave up trying to get Marlon Brando to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marlon Brando's at the age of his career where he was just doing whatever. This is the Marlon Brando trying to be a donut in the Superman movie. Like, this is just him going crazy.
All this is not going to blow your mind, but this is all real stuff. According to Robert Silva's Dustin Hoffman and Spurs, method actors show the Old West Who's Boss. That's the title of the book, by the way.
That's the whole title?
That's the whole title of the book. Robert Silva needs to learn how to retitle books.
Yeah, so, editor, get on that.
The whole production was affected by Marlon Brando's bizarre behavior, which allegedly included biting a frog and catching grasshoppers at the end of the day's shooting.
Yeah, I'm just imagining poor Randy Quaid being like, why does he keep putting bugs in my mouth? That's not in the script. And they're just like, Randy, just let him do it.
It's Brando!
Yes.
Come on! Jack Nicholson did not like the fact that Marlon Brando used cue cards while filming. In their scenes together, Nicholson broke his concentration every time Brando shifted his gaze to the cue card behind the cameraman. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking at the beginning, I'm like, Jack Nicholson, he's working with his lead actor. That's great. And then as the realization happened that Marlon Brando must have been running amok on the set, I go, was Jack Nicholson like horribly disillusioned here? Is this a case of like never meet your heroes?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking the whole time.
Because, like, especially it's very, like, that ending where Jack kills Marlon Brando, I cannot imagine they are in the same room together during that scene. That feels like something happened and they're like, we got to get Marlon Brando out of here. Or Marlon Brando wants to do something so bizarre, this is all we can salvage from it. Like, something weird about that death scene has happened and it has had to result in that compromise.
I got it right here. Reportedly, director Arthur Penn had his hands full placating Marlon Brando and Jack Nicholson during production, as they both took an instant dislike to each other. This is evident in how few scenes there are between the two, and in those few scenes, both actors were generally shot separately so as to not be near each other too much.
It's interesting Marlon Brando didn't like Jack Nicholson. I get why Jack didn't like Marlon, but Marlon seems like he's not even aware of anything that's going on around him.
Yeah, I guess... Yeah, Brando had no problem working with Nicholson. It was Nicholson who was just like flustered and kind of thrown for a loop by this whole thing.
I get it, Jack. I'd be annoyed too.
Writer and script doctor Robert Towne conceived the film's final showdown, which solved the story's problems caused by Marlon Brando's ad-libbing and changes to the screenplay. Because, yes, Robert Towne has an uncredited rewrite of the script.
Jack's pal. What problems did you need to solve? Your narrative was fine.
Yeah.
What were you fix? You just had a crazy guy as your villain. That's fine. So what did it solve? Like just the showdown between those two, or also the showdown with Jack Nicholson and the woman's father?
Just says story.
Yeah, okay. Well,
he solved story problems caused by the ad-libbing.
I don't think it caused any problems. The only problems it caused was I didn't always understand what he was saying half the time.
On top of all the ad-libbing and how Brando just threw out the script for himself, he liked to play pranks with rubber spiders and eggs, as well as frequently mooning the cast and crew. Fucking psycho.
But having seen movies like this before, his character certainly does have a wild amount of flair that kind of helps, I think.
Of course. Very engaging.
Yeah, it ended up being pretty interesting. And then culminating at the end where he's just like smooching his horse. He's eating a carrot with his horse.
Yep.
And the other one, he's not even going to give her a carrot because he calls her a whore. The horse. Like, all right, I'm in. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm in.
One of my favorite facts, though, is Martin Scorsese was originally considered directing the film before Arthur Penn took over.
What was it, 1976? What had Martin Scorsese done by then?
He had just done Mean Streets, and I guess he was going to be doing this or Taxi Driver. I think he made the right choice.
Yeah, my thoughts on this movie is it's just a regular movie. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's, kind of like a blockbuster film of its day, pre-blockbuster. This is what I would expect to get, some Hollywood thing.
It seems what we'd probably get with two big stars of their caliber.
Yeah, you got this, I don't know, showdown, Western, could have been a thriller kind of thing going here, so fine. It's not standing out amongst other Westerns coming out at the time, but it's not a badly made movie. It just is there. And if Marlon Brando weren't there, I'd bet I'd very quickly forget it.
Warren Oates and Harry Dean Stanton were originally touted to star in this movie, in the parts played by Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando.
And then they said, what if we got real stars to do this? No offense, Harry Dean Stanton and Warren Oates.
Yeah. I liked Harry Dean Stanton's look in this. I think he looks very handsome.
He fits in the most in the Western setting here.
I think he just looked really good in the movie. He usually looks like he's really beaten down by the world around him in every movie he's in.
Yeah, I like that. Like, all right, well, we got these two guys that have been in Jack Nicholson movies to be in this Western. What if we just got the guy that was in the movie with them, Jack Nicholson?
In an interview in Time magazine published on May 24th, 1976, it was reported that Marlon Brando changed the entire flavor of his character, a bounty hunter called Robert E. Lee Clayton, by inventing a deadly hand weapon resembling both a harpoon and a mace that he uses to kill. Brando said, "I always wondered why in the history of lethal weapons no one invented that particular one. It appealed to me because I used to be very expert at knife throwing."
I don't know if that one weapon changes the whole flavor of the character. It certainly adds a little
Not my
something.
words.
I thought he was going to be like, they changed the whole flavor because he was going to be like angry ex-Confederate soldier guy and not weird Irish dandy. That's a change of flavor.
The Irish, the fucking accent he's doing. Are we for real? Has he talked to an Irish person before?
Yeah, thank God, what's her name? Kathleen Turner, like sees him enter the movie and she's like, you're kind of weird. And he's like, thank you, ma'am.
Susan Sarandon auditioned for the role of Jane Braxton and called it one of the most grueling audition processes she's ever experienced.
Grueling? She
was repeatedly called back for readings and later on lost out to, as she said, a gal who didn't do much after that.
Well,
just throwing some fucking shade at
it
Catherine.
is true. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why you got to beat up on Kathleen, but yeah, the callback system kind of sucks. I don't know why you had to be like so sure about this. Like, guess what, guys? It doesn't pass the Bechdel test. It only has the one female role, and it doesn't really even get to do much. So I'm not sure why you needed to be so sure with your callbacks that you picked the right actress.
This one last thing about the cue card thing.
And by the way, I don't even know what Kathleen Turner's doing half the time in the movie anyway, and I don't know.
It's not Kathleen Turner.
Who is
it? Kathleen Lloyd.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's Kathleen Lloyd's fault per se, because her character is weirdly written in the movie, and I just don't. Even if I were just looking at the dialogue, I wouldn't know what she wants half the time. All right, Joe, go on.
As been his custom for some time, so as not to have to memorize his lines, Brando had cue cards placed all over the sets, including among cabbages in one scene with Nicholson.
Yeah,
he had his cue cards hiding in the cabbages.
Yeah, he hadn't figured out the earpiece thing yet.
Yeah, what's that? The score?
Yeah, I mean I know it specifically from Apocalypse Now.
Wow.
Yeah,
all the way back then. Wow. Film reunites Nicholson and Randy Quaid from The Last Detail. That's nice.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson loves buying prostitutes for Randy Quaid.
Yeah, I know. Nicholson and Brando only worked on this one film together after it felt like, that's his guy.
I know Jack Nicholson's like, I've won an Oscar. I'm working with Marlon Brando. What a great time this is. And media's like, my God, Marlon Brando, you asshole. But that is an interesting, because they're both coming at it from this very method approach. And obviously, Marlon Brando's gone nuts to some degree, but wanting to have your lines not memorized is not a horrible tactic. It's tough to work around, but I get why Marlon Brando wants to be in that present moment. And having seen a lot of people read off cue cards in the morning news and Saturday Night Live and late night talk shows, you wouldn't know he's reading off of cue cards. Like, that is the strength of Brando's acting. But I could see why it'd be disruptive to Nicholson, despite them both being method actors.
So this was a critical and commercial flop.
Oh, commercial flop too. That's interesting. That surprises
me.
It
made a tiny bit of money.
Okay.
Budget was $10 million. It made $14 million. So it made a little bit, not much.
I imagine, the fact because it's like 50 years old that it has become profitable. But yeah, it would not have been profitable right there. Especially, you've got two huge stars in there in a genre that was, I guess it's overcrowded at that point. I'm surprised. I would have, and for American movie-going audiences, Jack Nicholson just won an award 3 months ago. Brando won an award like 4 years ago. It just seems odd.
The film was highly anticipated, but became a notorious critical and commercial flop.
But did Roger have something to say about it?
I haven't seen anything, but I just wanted to give you some salary breakdowns.
Oh, jeez. Okay, give them to me.
Brando agreed. He agreed. The phrasing of this is Brando agreed to accept $1 million for 5 weeks.
Publicist nonsense, yeah.
Yeah, for 5 weeks' work plus 11.3% of gross receipts in excess of $10 million. Nicholson agreed to $1.25 million for 10 weeks of work, plus 10% of the gross receipts in excess of $12.5 million. And then it says Nicholson later sued the producer for unpaid wages.
Jack, the movie didn't make money. I'm sorry. Jack making less on this film than The Fortune, despite this character being better. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remembered something.
What?
Haven't you seen the movie Old? M. Night Shyamalan's Old?
I did see that, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Uh-oh.
And other media. In M. Night Shyamalan's 2021 film, Old, Rufus Sewell's character repeatedly asked the other characters if they remember the title of the film that starred Marlon Brando and Jack Nicholson.
I don't remember that part
The
of the
character
film.
in the film, a surgeon named Charles, suffers from schizophrenia, then develops dementia as he ages. Shyamalan explained that the character's question was based on a conversation he had with his father. His father's a doctor who also has dementia. I've never seen The Missouri Breaks. It's from my dad, who actually has some dementia, and he would not stop talking about Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando.
So M. Night Shyamalan's dad's like one of 20 people that saw The Missouri Breaks, and he just can't forget it. Or he like kind of did forget it, I guess.
He forgot the title of the movie, but he's like, I know that Brandon and Nicholson were in a movie together.
Jack Nicholson fought Irish Marlon Brando. It was great.
So that I feel like that's the new lasting legacy of this movie now.
Old has to have itself a lasting legacy, so we'll see.
Excuse me, The Beach That Makes You Old. It's a great movie. I loved it.
I'm really, really happy that the movie pretty quickly tells me that they're in Montana. Because when I hear a film called The Missouri Breaks, I just assume we're in Missouri.
I believe they shot a lot in Montana, too.
Another thing that seems to happen in a lot of movies, Harry Dean Stanton getting smoked out of a cabin in the middle of the woods.
I hope we see so much more Harry Dean Stanton in this series.
Now that Jack Nicholson can, he's just like, all right, put my friends in now. The spoils system. I'm a best actor. Let's go.
This is how Sandler worked, and this is how Nicholson works.
Randy Quaid and Harry Dean Stanton and Danny DeVito. They're all in films now.
Yeah. Oh, God. More DeVito. They work together later on. You know that, right?
They do?
Oh, it's in the 90s.
Okay.
Get ready.
I'm buckled up.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm very excited to watch it.
Near the end, they steal a bunch of the bad guy, the father's bad guy's horses, and they steal like 30 of them. Feels like a pain in the ass, right? Like they're just like, wow, we could be train robbing, and they're like, nah, we're gonna do the horse. Just rob the trains. That seems so much easier than trying to corral 30. You just it was like you were in and you were out. You had a shit ton of money. What are you doing with all these the horses? You got to move states at a time. You've got to move these horses. Randy Quaid just being a weirdo again. Just immediately we see him and he's got like his hat partially in his mouth, and I go, yep, Randy Quaid just being typecast.
That's just his default, right?
That's just, he's just weird guy. Weird dude guy.
He still lives in it, too. He lives the life.
Just do you, man.
Yeah.
Marlon Brando, first build, shows up 30 minutes into the movie.
36 minutes. 36 I saw it clocked. It's crazy.
It's like, oh, thanks for showing up, Marlon. Glad we could finally start the movie now.
I mean, Nicholson kind of does it later on in Batman. Top build over Batman.
Yeah.
Doesn't show up.
I don't agree with that, but, Jack Nicholson's in pretty good Hollywood standing at that point.
Yeah, he's got, 2 Oscars by that point?
Yeah, when does he get his third? Mid-90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then yeah.
As good as it gets.
Right.
97.
Batman's 89. I'm trying to remember.
Yep.
So many Batman films came out in the 90s.
Well, it's the first one.
Yeah. So, Marlon Brando, obviously a bad guy, the Regulator bad guy, but there's also, like, the Jack Nicholson's love interest is a bad guy, too. He's the original bad guy of the film who hires Marlon Brando because he needs an even worse bad guy. This guy at the end is clearly gay. Do you agree with this reading?
That makes sense.
Right, that's what this Vern guy is just, like, hanging around, and the Vern guy's like, if you're going to shoot him, you got to shoot me, too. I'm like, all right, servant guy, calm down. Then I go, oh, okay, gay lovers. Because Marlon Brando's making a big deal about like, it's weird you don't have a wife anymore. And the guy's like, get out of here.
Are you saying this is like a Smithers and Burns thing?
I mean, it could be. I think they're both actually gay. And I think that's why the father's not married anymore, because he's just a gay guy.
Oh, okay.
This is my theory. But it could be, but at minimum, yes, Smithers and Burns. But I think they're both actually gay lovers. Very nice of them to slip that in there. And then just like a lot of movies in the 70s, to appeal to the growing, post-hippie crowd of young people, it's very like anti-authoritarian and Robin Hood-esque, but then at the end he kind of returns to a normal Reagan-era life, so he gives up his outlawing and wants to settle down and start a farm, probably find a wife or whatever, start a family. Very traditionalism values by the end of the film. All the outlaws are dead, blah, blah, blah. Well, that means we got to do a little Watergate talk.
Watergate, oh, Watergate.
Watch.
Oh, God. How far are you in the book?
I'm about 520 pages into the book.
Jeez Louise. That's commitment. I like it.
I finally figured out why because I've pretty much gotten to the end of the gaslit stuff, like all the stuff that most movies are about, and there's still like 300 pages to go. And I figured out why there's still so much left, even though it feels like there shouldn't be. Because a lot of shit happens after all the John Dean stuff.
Of course, right?
They got rid of Haldeman and Ehrlich, like all the main characters of the Watergate proper, they are all out. Pretty early on compared to how long, and in theory, I'm really going through like 1 year's worth of time over the course of, 250 pages. Like 1 year fits into 200, just because so much is happening with this trial. There's a whole new set of people that Nixon brings in that are specifically like the cover-up part of the staff at the White House, the new chief of staff, Al Haig, that we see briefly in the Nixon movie with Anthony Hopkins.
I gotta watch that one.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going through a lot of Oliver Stone movies this year.
You should. Pretty good at usually.
It's just like the later half of the career.
Yeah, it's a lot of hit or misses there.
Did you ever see W?
I actually like W.
Oh, I haven't watched it since theaters.
It's not as exciting as JFK or Nixon, but it's an interesting way to do a movie about a sitting president. Now there's the investigation into Nixon itself and like all the stuff they were trying to hide, which is why they had to cover up Watergate in the first gate. All the other stuff that was way worse than Watergate they're trying to cover up. That's the stuff they're trying to protect with these tapes and stuff. And then it got to me like, one thing that doesn't really have its own movie yet is this year that I'm kind of reading through now, the special prosecutor, Archibald Cox. Archibald, that's a name we don't really do anymore.
It's Cary Grant's name, right?
What?
Did you know that? Cary Grant's real name is Archibald?
Oh. Archibald Grant?
Archibald Leach.
Good choice to change that name. Archie Leach? Yeah, that's not looking good on a marquee.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
It's the only time I've heard that name before.
Yeah, so Archibald Cox is a special prosecutor brought in. So John Mitchell, Attorney General, then became campaign manager. That gets cleaned up. Richard Nixon he cleans house. He brings in a new Attorney General. It's Richard Kleindest. And then Richard Nixon begs Kleindest to hire a special prosecutor that's going to do everything in his power to solve the Watergate thing. Especially seems an odd request considering how much Nixon then tries to thwart both Archie Cox and Kleindest from doing that very thing he begged them to do. That's a different story. But anyway, this like Archie, and as a special prosecutor, it went about as well as the whole Robert Mueller thing. But I think making a movie about this guy who like nobody wanted to take the job. Like Archie Cox was like the 7th guy they asked to do it. And he's like, well, I have no political ambitions and I'm at the end of my career. So, fuck it, whatever. Like I've got nothing to lose. Because he's like, nobody's going to like me if I don't find anything. No one's going to like me if I do find anything. Everybody's going to be in a pain in my ass while I'm doing it. Like, there's no actual benefit to doing it other than the fact that it probably needs to be done for the safety of our nation. And show just all the crap he has to go to. Like, it wouldn't be the most interesting for Patrick. It wouldn't be the most interesting movie. But it feels like a very Hollywood kind of movie about this guy standing against a tyrannical force and doing his best. Like, it doesn't feel that different from the Mark Felt movie. Like, you could do a kind of very, summer-friendly, maybe March-friendly movie about this Richard Cox, like, dealing with Nixon being an asshole.
You definitely watched that Liam Neeson movie, right?
What, the Mark Felt movie? Yeah. All the Watergate movies are done.
I know.
I might watch him again now that I have way more information.
God, no!
That I have a lot more information and context because of this Watergate book. It's been truly delightful.
You haven't even watched White Noise yet.
I know. I'm just oddly into Watergate. I read so much Watergate book every day.
That's cool. You should definitely start with the good ones first, though.
I want to go back and watch Dick again. I found it very amusing.
That's the one I was mostly referencing.
I like Dick a lot. All right, that's our Watergate watch there.
Excellent. We got a rock.
Oh, we got a young rock.
My name is Kid Rock.
All right, we are in season 3, episode 9.
Wow.
The prime minister of the country with all the coffee, I forget what it's called, has a press conference about the mountain name, which you may remember was voted by the people of our country to be Billy, Will You Go to the Prom With Me Mountain.
What a joke. That's like that guy's book that is the fucking title of that book with Dustin Hoffman and Spurs or whatever.
Press is not happy that she won't ratify the name, and the press conference is not going well for the prime minister, and so The Rock steps in and says, hey, listen, everybody, I've got a story to tell. I'm like, okay, The Rock.
Here we go again.
And it's Kid Rock again, and I'm like, oh, this really annoys me. You skipped High School Rock. Like, what's the deal, man? Well, it turns out that the opening pre-credit sequence of Kid Rock doing, being a delinquent and stealing the Snickers bars and, telling lies to his parents as his family's kind of warring with itself over these rival wrestling promotion units. Then he's like, well, I had all this time, so I decided to go to the gym. And at the end of this, weight training montage, he becomes High School Rock, and so it is indeed a High School Rock story. But he's not in high school, he just looks like High School Rock because he had a growth spurt.
So is Kid Rock done?
No, that's what I'm interested in. Well, now in this timeline that you're going through, you can't have Kid Rock anymore, so what's the next Kid Rock story you're gonna do? Maybe this is then a shorter season, right? This might only be an 11, 12 episode season and not the 20 episodes that I'm terrified to death that it will be. Then you would have done your requisite amount of Kid Rock storylines for your traditional season size.
It has yet to be announced.
How many episodes there are?
Yes.
Okay. The Rock, and probably the coolest thing I've ever seen him do. You ready for this, Joe?
I'm ready.
The Rock, looking, like a high school kid, but still being in elementary school, is able to sneak his friends into an R-rated movie. What is that movie? Blue Velvet.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
It seems like they want to see it because it looks sexy. And so he pretends...
Interesting.
Yeah, he pretends to be their teacher because of this growth spurt. He then also is able to buy beer for his, elementary school friends, and then immediately gets arrested for providing beer to a minor. And he's like, but I am a minor. And they're like, yeah, sure, buddy. And then the grandmother has to bail him out. Meanwhile, The Rock's dad has been invited to England by Andre the Giant. And I go, why is he over there in England? What wrestling thing's happening? Well, it turns out he's actually filming what I presume is The Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride, yeah.
And he seems to be bad at being in movies. I don't know if that's a joke or if that's real. He also doesn't seem to like being in movies too much. And he gets mad about the food there. That might also be a joke because it's England, though. Not totally certain. They get in a fight about something, Dad and Andre the Giant, but I don't really know what it was, and they fix it pretty easily anyway, so good for them. And this somehow helps the dad clumsily try to fix the family rifts by uniting The Rock's mom and The Rock's grandmother via soap operas, and then they're friends again. I don't know how that affects their business rivalry, but we'll see, I guess, in another episode. Anyway, the point of the story, The Rock says, is that you gotta find common ground between people. I'm not sure how The Rock's personal storyline fits into that more than the father and the mother's, but fine. And then also at the end, the Prime Minister's like, oh, by the way, I will never be giving coffee to America. Sorry. And The Rock's like, crap. And that's where the episode ends. Sadly, no Randy Park at all in the episode. Maybe he's doing a movie or something. I don't know.
Guys are getting that formal. Randy. Randy Park.
Yeah, we're buds, me and Randy. All right, well, let's go to our last looks, Joe.
Last looks. Why did Nicholson want to do this movie, or why did he attach himself? Because he was like, hey, it's Brando time, baby. Get to work with my hero. And then he's like, not what I was expecting. No more, don't eat any more frogs, Brando.
Yeah, just thank God that scene didn't make it into the movie. Good Lord.
Stop eating the frogs. Leave them alone. Yeah, I forgot to mention the American Humane Association was deemed this movie on their unwatchable list for them because apparently a horse was drowned in a river.
Well, not surprised based on all the scenes of horses crossing rivers badly.
Yeah, and Brando was hurting frogs.
And Brando was eating frog. Well, no wonder the movie didn't make any money. The American Humane Society was like,
Nuh-uh.
Nationwide ad campaign.
You got last looks?
Do you love horses? Then you'll hate this movie. My last looks, why is Jack Nicholson do this movie? Well, obviously the Brando factor is huge. But
Yeah.
I'm also thinking like this script in light of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Passenger. I go, why? So I do wonder if he saw Brando was on the script. He attached himself to a starring role. He still in his mind was like, I got to take the roles I can get. I got to take the starring roles I can get. I'm still trying to build a career here. And then partway through filming or right before they were about to shoot, he's like, I won an Oscar. And that's why we get to see his production slow down. He's like, well, I get to do what I want now. I don't have to do any more Missouri breaks.
Yeah.
So, I wonder how much he even believed in the project when it began, and if this was just something that he assumed he would need to take because he wasn't going to become Hollywood royalty like he was about to.
Yeah, maybe he just likes making Westerns.
Listen, everybody was making Westerns, but they were the superhero films of their day, so it's not super surprising.
Yeah. They do kind of go away in the 80s, though, right?
They fade away in the 80s. The last TV Western for a while is 1993 or 4. That's Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. And yeah, they fade out.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah.
Despite some guy going on a press tour this week and being quoted as saying, superhero movies will never end. I go, what a hubristic thing to say, sir.
God.
It was like audiences will never tire of superhero films. And I go, you are an insane person. Let me introduce you to the Western.
I'm just waiting for the next thing to take over, though. Just something.
Well, it's not like Westerns left and superhero films suddenly proliferated.
Yeah.
It just was like, we get it now. We've done it. And part of that was Hollywood was doing less interesting things. So I think one of the negatives superhero films has is they pretty much need to be a pretty big budget. Like you can make Ride the Whirlwind or The Shooting. You could just have like a couple guys in a desert and you've got yourself a Western.
Yeah.
Really hard to do that with the superhero film. So it becomes harder then to make more innovative versions of it. And the closest thing we get to innovation is the Batman. Which, well, not bad, I would hardly say is innovative.
I like the Batman.
Yeah, not bad. And as a superhero film, like, okay, but we're not getting the shooting of superhero films. Like, that movie's not coming out my way.
It's because they have too many people to answer to.
Yeah, like, that's part of it. Like, it being an adaptation by itself makes things difficult. And yeah, like I'm saying, the budget is just too big to make a superhero film. Like, you cannot do $1 million superhero film.
Are you at all interested in the Joker sequel that Todd Phillips is making?
Certainly not.
Do you know what it is, though?
No, of course not.
It's Joaquin Phoenix coming back, obviously, with Lady Gaga in a musical.
Why is it a musical now?
I don't know. It's a musical, though.
What is that? It's like, we're going to do The Godfather 2, but in The Godfather 2, everybody sings a song. You're like, why? That's not the world they lived in. And I guess is they're crazy, and so they're just imagining everybody singing?
Maybe.
I'm not sitting there trying to think of a script for a Joker 2, and then like, you know, what if everybody sang? That's a Marlon Brando idea. The actors come in, they're like, hey, what if we all just sang a song?
What if we all had Irish brogues?
Yeah, will the Joker have an Irish accent in this film? We can only hope.
I don't know. I don't even know when that's coming out. I just know that they're...
Well, if we're lucky, never. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank Lev Van Rensselaer for minding those audio boards and keeping us sound so slippery smooth. I'd like to thank my co-host Joe Vekeman for stopping by.
Thank you.
The mighty Joe River.
Thank you.
And I am your host, Patrick Scale. You may find my features, documentaries, short films, video essays, animations, behind-the-scenes footage, and so much more at quixoticunited.com and social media, presumably with a similar sounding name. Thank you all for listening. Joe, say goodnight.
Good night.
Dream with the feathers of angels stuck beneath your head. The regulator, swinging pendulum. Dream with the feathers of angels stuck beneath your head. The
All right, I didn't get to look at any of these Oscar noms. Anything kooky standing out to you? I didn't even know the Oscar nominations came out. I also didn't know until Gerard Carmichael ended up in the news that the Golden Globes had even happened.
Yeah, they happened. They were, 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah, they happened, and then, 5 days later, all of a sudden in my newsfeed, it's like, Gerard Carmichael in trouble for saying something funny. And I go, what?
He said something about Tom Cruise and Scientology and all that stuff, and that kind of got a ooh.
Well, it feels,
thing.
if you're talking about Scientology, feels like fair game. Sorry it had to be Tom Cruise, but he knew what he was signing up for.
Okay. I do have all the categories. So the one I wanted to talk to you about, mainly, was Best Adapted Screenplay.
Uh-oh.
Mind you, I liked this movie. I liked this movie quite a bit. So the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah. Okay, the Netflix thing.
So, that's that German remake of the 1930s picture.
Yeah, I know the movie. Yeah.
The next movie nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery.
What is that adapted? Because it's a sequel?
That's exactly right. Because it's a sequel, it has to be adapted. That's the weird rules. This one, I don't know if you've seen this because we haven't really talked Kurosawa. Living, written by Kazu Ishiguro. That is the movie that screenplay is based on the movie Akiru.
I didn't know they had a remake of it.
It's a remake with Bill Nighy. I believe he's nominated for Best Actor. Yeah, I know. It's just this tiny movie that barely came out. When did this movie come out?
No one has ever talked about this movie.
Yeah. I only know about it because of the podcast I listen to. The next one, Woman Talking by Sarah Polley.
What's that based on? It's a bit like a book or something?
I think so. Have you seen that one yet?
If that one came out in theaters, it somehow snuck under...
Just came out. It's only playing in Foxborough near me. But I'm going to try to make it out sometime. Yeah, that's the only theater playing it. It didn't even play at Framingham. Isn't that crazy? I feel like that's
weird.
The big theater that gets everything. And the last one, though. Have you seen it yet?
I didn't want to spoil it.
Top Gun.
Top Gun
Maverick was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. I'm like, that's not the area that I thought. It's a fine screenplay. It gets everything that it's supposed to get done in the movie. I mean, obviously, it's a winning movie. It's the highest grossing movie of the year besides Avatar. I just think that's funny. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 credited writers.
I see. It went through 20 drafts.
Well, I mean, the movie's been in production, in pre-production forever.
Somebody's getting a call from his agent, like, you got an Oscar nominee. He's like, I wrote that script 12 years ago.
Yeah, but as always, the best original screenplay is probably one of the best categories. The Banshees of Inisherin, Mark McDonagh. Everything Everywhere All at Once by the Daniels. The Fablemans by Spielberg and Tony Kushner. Tar by Todd Field. And Triangle of Sadness by Ruben Östlund.
Pretty good films in there. I haven't gotten to see Triangle of Sadness yet.
It's the one I haven't seen yet either.
Because every time, it only had one showtime a day near me, and it was always at a horrible time.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm dealing with.
So, sucks.
Except for mine's all the way in Framingham. That's the only place it was playing.
Yeah, that makes it even harder for you.
So it's like a good solid hour to get there.
I'm interested to know how successful Everything Everywhere All at Once does. Partly because it happened so long ago, and partly because it's very kooky. The Academy hates that, unless you're that dude. What's his name?
Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah. What'd you say, 11 what?
11 nominations. It's the leader.
Well, it helps that it has a bunch of special effects and stuff.
It doesn't hurt that it got 4 acting nominations. Best lead actress.
Makes sense.
Best supporting actor, which is that's the one shoe-in that's going to win. Kiwi Kwan is definitely going to win that.
Yeah.
And best supporting actress, it got 2 nominations. One for Jamie Lee Curtis and the other for Stephanie Sue.
The daughter, yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis is an interesting choice. I wonder if she weren't Jamie Lee Curtis.
It's a career thing, right?
Yeah, that's my thought.
And the funny thing is, though, everyone's pick is Angela Bassett.
But for what?
Black Panther. The first person to be nominated for a Marvel movie.
I can say this because I saw the movie, thank goodness. No. No.
That's another career thing, right? right? It has to be.
Probably. I think that movie, like I'm looking at the Best Pictures now, I'm a little surprised it didn't get Best Picture again because...
Very good.
I know, but I just felt like because the guy died, I thought it was going to get this Heath Ledger thing going on with it.
Yeah, Chadwick
But I guess
Boseman.
he died making the movie. Well, the other guy died during the movie, right?
Oh, Heath Ledger?
Yeah.
Heath Ledger, the movie was complete, I believe,
Yeah.
by the time he died.
So, like...
It was like 6 months before it came out.
Yeah, that becomes part of the narrative of the movie, too. I'm looking at these Best Pictures. Ugh, Top Gun Maverick.
Can you believe it?
Nah. Well, every year you get all the, a lot of people across the country are like, I've never heard of any of these movies. And that's why they made it 10 films. So I guess I'm glad Top Gun Maverick made it for those people.
Yeah. Elvis, though.
Yeah, what? Elvis?
Elvis has so many nominations.
It's so...
And the best...
old Academy voters like, yeah, Elvis rocks.
The best actor race, though, is a three-way race right now between Austin Butler, who played Elvis, Colin Farrell for Banshees of Inisherin, and Brendan Fraser.
What the F is After Sun? Oh, I know what After Sun is. Okay.
Did you see it yet?
No, it's coming out over here soon, I think.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see Elvis. Colin Farrell was good. Brendan Fraser was good. I think that script was bad, though. That was not a
Elvis?
No. For The Whale. I haven't seen Elvis. I probably won't.
Yeah, that didn't get nominated. Isn't that funny? Top Gun Maverick kicked it out.
Fine. Yeah, I wouldn't nominate that script either.
Did you see the editing nominations, though? That's the real key. The editing nominations are...
Man, they've really buried that one here.
Yeah. Best Film Editing. The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, which I would give for most editing, just like the Bohemian Rhapsody Award. There's so much editing in that movie. Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, the Tar editing stands out to me because editing doesn't have a heavy hand in that movie.
Not really.
I find it odd it did get nominated. I haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, but I imagine Everything Everywhere All at Once's editing is going to really stand out to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, that's the front runner for Best Picture.
And I think it takes advantage of, like, Banshees of Inisherin, I don't know, didn't have a strong editing footprint either. Top Gun Maverick's editing probably helps get the action across really well, but Everything Everywhere All at Once does it. But it needs a very specific type of editing for its multi-universal line to work. So I buy that.
Plus all the flashes at the end of all the different universes.
Yeah, like the editing is integral to that. It just needs it to have the same effect compared to Tar and Banshees.
The best international feature, though, really has me thrown.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any of them.
All Quiet on the Western Front was that a British thing? Is that what you said earlier?
No, it's German.
It's German?
9 nominations.
9?
9
nominations.
Yeah, seriously.
No nominations. That's sad.
Wait, what didn't? What?
No, because that's the German word for no.
Oh, yeah, I got your joke now.
Did you see that jerk? Okay, thanks.
Slow.
I'm glad we got that. I was worried. It seemed like you had it. Jimmy Kimmel's the host? Ugh, cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a person who enjoys quite a bit of international films, I have no idea what these are either.
I've heard of EO, which is the movie about the donkey.
Yeah.
And All Quiet on the Western Front, it's just like steamrolled everything. I thought RRR would get in there. That was like huge, that movie.
The international film category is odd in that it usually is just like the 5 films most of the Academy had happened to hear of for various reasons.
Yeah.
So the donkey movie made sense because it was just like, cute, what a feel-good, blah, blah, blah movie.
It's supposed to be a good movie.
Yeah,
There was a couple of donkey movies this year. We had The Banshees of Inisherin and EO.
Argentina one makes sense too. I am vaguely remembering what this one is.
Yeah, it's on Prime, I believe.
Yeah, right. It's like a true story, and it has to do with
a court case, I believe.
Dictatorship thing. Academy people eat that up. That's fine. A Quiet Girl. I don't know that.
I haven't heard that one either.
This seems like a boring movie too. A girl from a dysfunctional family goes and lives on a farm with her distant relatives, and she discovers a new way of living. Yep. Okay. Seen that movie a million times. Close.
Yeah, I've heard of that one too.
Oh, yeah, I know this movie. Yeah.
Interesting movies last year, and I'm like, this is the pick?
Yeah, I thought this movie came out. This movie did come out this year. Oh, that's the USA release date. Yeah, I thought this movie came out this year. This movie doesn't surprise me that it was nominated either. Yeah, there are just so many interesting films, and they refuse to acknowledge what most of the world is making. Oh, it's this Andrea Riseborough lady I've never heard of.
Oh, shit. Did you hear? I know we talked about that briefly last week. I can't believe she actually got the nomination.
You know, buzz is a strong thing.
But, like, the campaign was, like, pretty much started as the voting was open, and then the campaign ended as soon as voting was closed.
You know, it's got this strong Morbius vibe where everybody's like, wouldn't it be funny if we all just said, put it back in theaters?
I have never heard of the movie until, like, 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll check it out. No one's ever talked about this movie ever.
To Leslie, a strong Dear Evan Hansen vibes to it.
Oh, God, I hope not. Nothing can be as bad as Dear Evan Hansen.
Blonde is an interesting Best Actress nom, considering...
Did you see that movie?
It looked super boring to me, so I wasn't going to go, but then it turned... And I was surprised when everybody hated it.
I bet you fucking love that movie.
You loved it?
No, I'm saying you might love that movie.
Oh, really? Is it weird?
Not for me. Now you're intrigued, of course.
I'm a little intrigued now. I think it's unfair to give Marcel the Shell with shoes on. I don't know if I would count that as animated feature.
There were so many animated movies that came out last year that were really good, and I was just like,
They're like, this thing with some stop motion in it. And I go, okay, does that mean every Disney live action, quote unquote, gets a Best Animated Feature nomination? Because that would certainly put a weird spin on their naming trend.
The Lion King.
The live action Lion King, Best Animated Feature.
I really feel like they should have nominated Wendell and Wild, that weird-ass Henry Selick movie I told you about.
Yeah, I assure you I don't know most animated films. But it's okay, the Academy doesn't really know either, so I just assume it's going to go to the Pixar whatever.
Did you well, there's only one Pixar, and what were the nominations again?
It is something, Turning Red, that's the Pixar one, right?
Yeah, that's good. I like that movie.
Pinocchio.
That's going to win.
You think that one is?
They love Del Toro.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. The Shell movie, The Sea Beast.
That is a Netflix animated movie.
And then Puss in Boots doing a Shrek thing.
Puss in Boots is a weird nomination. I'm mad that kicked out Wendell and Wild. That's definitely the case for that. But also, there was a really fun movie that just popped up on Disney Plus last year, but it's considered a TV movie because it never came out in theaters now. Chippendale Rescue Rangers, and it fucking ruled, and I can't tell you how cool that movie was.
Yeah.
So much fun watching that stupid little movie.
Judd Hirsch getting himself a nomination.
Absolutely. That was, everyone thought he was like the shoo-in for a long time, but then Kiwi Kwan came in and he started eating up all those awards.
I'm looking at the super sexy category now, looking at the best directors. You can't. All right. I'm the list I have here is a little misconstrued. I imagine both Daniels are nominated together.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Here it makes it look like they're each their separate thing.
Separately?
Yeah, because that's what they also
weird.
did with the two supporting actresses from the movie, and I'm like, you fuckers, you don't get to do that.
Yeah, that
kick
feels...
somebody else out. I probably agree with all these. I'm less high on Banshees than everybody else, but I don't hate that he's here, and I'm not sure who I would put above him.
Did you ever see The Woman King?
Oh, no, I did not.
Gina Prince Bythewood really made a lot out of the tiny budget she got for that like enormous looking movie. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something they consider, though. I think they usually don't, right?
Didn't get anything this year. I thought Viola Davis was like an easy nomination, and no, they wanted to give it to Andrea Riseborough.
Yeah, so many people.
The deserving ones, I believe, are Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett.
Not to discredit Michelle Yeoh's acting, but I wonder if that movie has a chunk of momentum if she gets it out of that, because I don't know how you don't pick Cate Blanchett. Like, Cate Blanchett has a much harder job to do in her movie.
Yeah, I think she's going to win, but the upset would be Michelle Yeoh. And
Yeah. I think that's the race. I would be shocked if Andrea Riseborough wins this fucking thing for this movie nobody's heard of.
Oh God, it's Glenn Close and the wife.
You know, Banshee's got the second most nominate. I'm unsure why everybody has fallen for that movie.
Banshee's got the second most because they have so many acting nominations.
Yeah, well, that
they have
help.
lead. They have 2 supporting for actor, and then they have supporting actress too. The only one is really gonna possibly win is Best Actor for Colin Farrell.
Well, I bet costuming or something.
Did you know that it's his first nomination?
Really?
Yeah.
That's sort of
Been around
surprising.
forever too. I'm happy for him. I hope he gets it.
Roger Deakins getting his sort of traditional nomination.
But it's the only nomination that Sam Mendes movie got.
Yeah,
I didn't even see it yet.
I barely remember it.
Did you see it?
No, I just barely remember it even existing.
It has so much talent behind that movie, and everyone's just like, eh.
Yeah, see, Everything Everywhere All at Once getting nothing for production design sort of throws me.
Yeah.
That movie's all production design.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like Avatar sequel kind of under the radar here a lot of the time.
Absolutely. No directing for Cameron, and that movie's all him.
Yeah, I know.
You didn't watch it, right? And I know you wouldn't watch it.
No. Yeah, not that I don't know. The original scores, the movies that I have seen, I can see why they picked them.
Mm-hmm.
The score is probably the best thing about Babylon for me.
I can't disagree. That is also my favorite part about that. I listened to it. It's great.
Yeah, the score's fun.
Yeah, Justin Hurwitz though. He always does great scores though.
Yeah, that helps that he's talented at what he does.
Did you know that he has every time he's been nominated for a Golden Globe for each of the Chazelle movies, he's won. So he has 4 Golden Globes.
That's kind of crazy. There are some nice things about Best Picture being expanded to 10, but also this list feels boring.
Is it because there's too many like?
Yeah, there's something when it's 5. Like there's probably only 8 to 10 movies worthy of Best Picture or that you'd expect to be nominated anyway. So now that there's 10, like they're just all on there. There's not like, oh wow, this beat out this.
There's no surprise.
It's just like, oh yeah, okay, these are all the movies I'd expect. I guess I'm surprised All Quiet on the Western Front became this huge thing.
Out of nowhere. And you know what got like another goose egg?
What?
The Noah Baumbach movie that I loved that came out at the end of the last day of last year. White Noise. It came out December 30th, and I'm like, this movie's really good and no one's going to watch it. And now it just sits on Netflix in purgatory, and I'm like, great. God, that movie's good. You haven't watched it yet, right?
No, haven't watched it. I've been bad, Joe.
You'll get around to it, though, right?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to. I didn't really get to watch any films this week. So it is a goal for me to get to.
Okay.
I guess the point of my story is I'm in the Tar camp, but
yeah,
Everything Everywhere All at Once takes a few awards from it. I wouldn't be angry.
Yeah, they're both great movies. I'm glad it's the race between those 2 movies.
Yeah, I've got no beef with that. The Academy wants to nominate a superhero film so badly, at least they pick that. So fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you'll do this regular episode.
Regular? What do you mean regular?
We got to go do the real episode now.
Yeah.
Yeah.